All right, let's go to this story now. Jailed Zimbabwean lawmaker and vice chair of the Opposition Citizens Coalition for Change, Job Sikhala, has been convicted by a Harare Magistrate court on charges of obstructing justice. The charges arose after Sikhala posted a video on social media claiming that Blessing Ali was in fact had been murdered by ZANU-PF supporters while police were still investigating that particular murder. Now, Ali's mutilated body was found in a disused well near her house in Nyatsime. A suspect was arrested and is on trial for murder. Sikhala has been fined $600 or 6 months in prison if he fails to pay the fine by Friday.
The sentence has just been passed by Magistrate Gofa. The effect of the sentence is that he has been given a 6 months wholly suspended prison term on condition that he pays a fine of American dollars $600 by the 5th of May 2023, failing which he shall be committed to prison for 6 months.
This sentence comes as a relief to the Sikhala family. There is now a renewed sense of hope that perhaps in the meantime he will be out soon. We are primarily happy that a custodial sentence was imposed, and our thinking is that this will probably have an effect with respect to the other offense of incitement to commit violence, and we are hoping as a family that sooner or later Honorable Sikhala will be back with his family. I'm sure you can see that his children are happy. The wife is, well, temporarily relieved. So we are basically relieved that he has been given a fine, in as much as we would have wanted him to be acquitted, because we believed that he had not committed any offense at all.
For more on this, we're joined by Simba Chikanza, founding editor of ZimEye. Thank you so much for your time, Simba. What has been the reaction on the ground to this latest development?
Well, the nation has received news of the conviction of the Honorable MP with a mixture of anger, I think partly also sadness. And what the regime has been trying to do is to suppress the voice when people complain, when things are wrong. And I want to say, I'm feeling overwhelmed at this conviction. Even if Sikhala had been sent home today, I would still be enraged. And I will tell you why. The reason is the client here of the MP, Blessing Ali, was truly murdered by ZANU-PF members. And at the time of the statements that he made, there was clear suppression of the process of justice. There was no willingness whatsoever by the police to arrest the people who murdered Blessing Ali, who the community knew very well. And what the ruling party did around that time was so deliberate that I want to say every parliament, as at today in Africa, must shut their doors, in my view, if they are truly serious about preserving the integrity of parliamentarism, and protest until the persecution, I call it persecution here, against Job Sikhala stops. I will speak more as we discuss tonight, but clearly there is here an expression, an exhibit, an execution of total disregard for the rule of law by the prosecutors in Zimbabwe.
So, Simba, let's talk about how does this begin to change things on the ground ahead of the election?
Well, ahead of the election here, there is what I see here, a clear attempt by ZANU-PF, and they've already stated it's so. It is to stop the masses from speaking out, from protesting when they see injustice. We will remember here the context from the 2018 elections, when another military coup, and I don't know if you knew, there was a second military coup that happened in Zimbabwe on the 1st of August 2018, when Mnangagwa deployed soldiers to shoot people, to kill people. 6 were killed, and Soon after that, election results were changed according to a plan that had even been announced on state television, SABC, that the military would be used to change election results. So we're seeing back then, if you remember the context of the Motlanthe Commission, that former South Africa President Motlanthe was in Zimbabwe, spent several weeks heading a commission that was trying it was literally quasi court. It was trying these offenses, trying to suppress the voices of the opposition and members of the public who were complaining over that brutality, which was so clear and had even been announced. A real coup was announced that it would be done against Nelson Chamisa's government at its inception by ZANU-PF. So we're dealing here with a situation where we're getting to 2023. The most vocal MP, arguably in Africa, who I call a state power now activist, Job Sikhala, believes that whenever there is an illegal regime, whenever a government fails at its leadership and corruption has taken over the state institutions, power must go back. It must go back to the masses, and power should be transferred today. So because he's so vocal and he has been so successful in leading the masses, in reviving the hopes of the masses, this is the most cruel way of the regime using such brutality, such murder, such crime that was done by the state to stop not only Sikhala speaking, but the Zimbabwean people speaking during the 2023 elections here. I think really Mr. Emmerson Mnangagwa must be ashamed of himself to call himself a leader of any political party, to call himself a leader of a country, and he actually allows this situation, this thing to happen, which is a crime by the state against a sitting MP who is only doing his job as an MP, number two, as a solicitor, as a lawyer to a murder victim.
And really this raises a whole lot of questions, and let's see what unfolds from this one, Simba, because there's even concerns from some of the journalists we're seeing on social media worried about what happens now, going forward. But of course, some of those who are pro what has happened say that there's nothing wrong here. It simply is the law being applied. So, mixed reaction tonight, and of course, a lot of people talking about this particular moment. So let's see then in the coming days what happens. And thank you there for your time, Simba.
To drop a comment there to say, I feel that all parliaments across Africa should shut their doors. They should stop business until Mr. Mnangagwa stops persecuting Job Sikhala. You're talking about an MP here, and I would like you to just understand, an MP whose concepts have been proven to fix economies. I mean, Zambia's victory, Zambia's success, its economy is a result of work that Job Sikhala himself as an MP worked to inspire journalists to confront the former President Edgar Lungu. Look at how amazing Zambia is starting to shape up. Its currency is now stronger than the rand. Its institutions are now beginning to bud, and corruption is now being suppressed nearly on a day-to-day basis. There's a new culture of selflessness. All this that we're seeing across the border in Zambia, a lot of it was inspired by Job Sikhala. Really, truly, every politician in Africa from Cape to Cairo must stop business until Job Sikhala is out. If we allow this crime to happen before our eyes, we have no clue how far it's going to go, even one day to be knocking on our doors. Let us consider the plight of the More Blessing Ali family. And by the way, just as I end here, the remains of More Blessing Ali are still to be buried. I don't know if you were aware. The family are refusing. More Blessing Ali will not be buried until Job Sikhala has been released. The family has played their part. What is the rest of Zimbabwe and the rest of Africa doing? Because this thing clearly is a continental crisis, the Sikhala issue, affects the continent. And Sikhala has demonstrated ability to fix not only Zimbabwe, but the continent. What are we doing about it? What are we journalists also doing about it? Are we just going to sit back there and just write horror stories? Or we're going to start to work on analysis, on concepts, that this very, very small thing can be fixed, and the continent can be ushered to another level.
Thank you very much for your thoughts, Simba. Do appreciate those reflections. That is Simba Chikanza, founding editor of ZimEye, of course, talking about that story you would have seen, breaking in the afternoon. That is, of course, that verdict, that guilty verdict against Job Sikhala, that opposition leader there in Zimbabwe.